we're broken into personality types, basically. And then there are all sorts of subcategories and stuff, and then it can get really confusing. And that's why there are people that specialize in that. They call them psychologists, and they call them also psychiatrists. For the purpose of what we're doing, there are basically 4 personality types. And so you can use the DISC assessment, and it's D is dominant, or a driver. So they're the guys that, interestingly, they don't really want to be bothered with all of the data and the mumbo jumbo. They just want decisions, so they're the guys that are constantly moving the ball down the court. Regardless of what obstacle comes up, it doesn't really matter. They'll figure out a way to overcome that, but they're driving towards the goal. So that's one of them. I is the influencer. And if you're a human being, the way that we influence people typically is with this thing. So I's have a tendency to be quite chatty. They're also the life of the party. And you can tell those people instantly. You can even gather that when you're texting them, that this is probably an I, right? Because they'll use like exclamations and like emojis and like all this stuff, right? They're probably an I if they're doing that. Because what they want to do is they're trying to convey emotion. So that's the reason why emojis exist. And that's why they're actually called that, is that, emoji, emotion, right? So, because if you look at pure text, if, you can't really tell it by this text, okay, like, I am so happy right now, period. I am so happy right now, period. If you just read it, it's like, wow, I can really tell that you're really happy. But then you'll see, I am so happy right now, period, smiley face emoji, and they might even send it with like, the confetti, when you hit send. I'm so happy right now. And now you can tell that they're actually happy. I spend a lot of time making sure that that is conveyed, that their emotions are conveyed. Because what they want to do is that they want to have influence in the situation, right? So it's not uncommon that you'll actually have a D and an I as dominant personality traits, right? So the driver part of them is also using influence, right, to drive towards their goal. So that's not really that uncommon. ID is not uncommon either. Now you get into the S's, and the S's, the best way so S stands for supportive, okay? That their role in life is to be supportive. That's how they that's how they view the world, that they're there to, be supportive of people, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you name it. The best way to describe them is everybody's mom. So they're everybody's mom. And when I say that, there are guys that are also S's too, but they exhibit the same the same characteristics, that their role is to be of extreme help. The thing that's interesting about S's though is that they're typically pretty risk averse, right? And so if you're talking to an S through text, so we get a lead and we're talking to them through text, that's where you'll find that humor is extremely important, and bringing levity to the situation to let them know that this is not a dangerous situation. You don't have to worry here. We're not going to mess you up. And then also to exhibit to them, humor is interesting because you're also being supportive while exhibiting humor. And then the last one are C's. And C's are those are your data aggregators. They're very cautious. They do not proceed unless they have obtained as much data as they possibly can on any given situation. The best way to describe that is like if you look at like a kid, right? A lot of times they'll have like a stuffed animal, right? They derive their comfort from the stuffed animal. Okay, that's the same way as with the C, is that their stuffed animal is their data. So the more data that they can actually have, the more comfortable they feel with that particular situation. So even though deep down they're probably still pretty cautious. I mean, they're going to proceed with caution, but if they have this data, then they'll proceed with more confidence. You can also have you can have D and C. D and C also work well together, okay, for personality traits, so that you can have somebody who is constantly driving towards the goal, but they do not drive until they have the data. Those are basically every CEO in the entire world.